Welcome, 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 my friends, to another edition of More Bad News, brought to you, as always, by Camel Cigarettes. Take the Camel's Challenge. Smoke Camels for 30 days and see for yourself what a change Camels can make to your life. Well, I've been reflecting for a while now on my retirement. I'm not running around anymore. And I've been thinking about, so what is it now, when you think back to 2012, when I was reading The Collapse of Western Civilization, this little book that really just, I think, convinced me that our civilization was collapsing. And then I read The Sixth Extinction by Elizabeth Colbert on the mass extinction event, which we are currently in. There have been 5 major extinction events before this, and we are now in the 6th major extinction event that has occurred on this planet. So our civilization is collapsing, and our species is inexorably now moving towards extinction. Now, understand, we've always been moving towards extinction. Life is terminal. All life on this planet is terminal. It's just that when we're born, we don't think of death. And at 75, I'm much closer to death than I am to birth. But since 2012, I've been convinced that it was basically hopeless. Then the question became, what is the consequences of that for everything else? The immediate reaction to most people is that hopelessness is a terrible, horrible thing that we have to fight against to the very death. The moment before the last breath you take, you should be hopeful. And it seems to me that there's some real benefit now. I'm a decade into this contemplation. And talk about more bad news. The news is this mass murder. I mean, how many can you stand? How bad can the news be? And the answer is, of course, if you see it from my perspective, these are the last best days. This is as good as it's ever going to be. And it makes these blows, I think, for me personally, a little bit more tolerable. And marginal is all we can talk about here. Because for all of us, we're going to be swept away by the tsunami of violence that is sweeping over us. And the way I see the violence is you have the oceans are rising. Warm water takes up more room than cold water. Water expands when it's heated. That's basic. The oceans are being flooded with meltwater from glaciers and from the polar regions. This rising ocean tide is inexorable. There's nothing that anyone can do to stop it. And that's the way I see the rising tide of violence. It's one other consequence of the transformation the direction we're going in is towards the collapse of our civilization and the extinction of our species. So that when it comes to what we can possibly accomplish, the idea of having hope that we're going to turn everything around and things are going to get better is delusional. What we can hope for, if you want to hope, is that we can hold on to some aspects of our humanity as we descend into extinction. When you see the world turning towards authoritarianism, we're in the midst of war, violence growing everywhere, suffering rising, emerging. Suffering is another thing that is simply like the expanding ocean. Suffering is simply expanding, growing. So I do think that there is some benefit in my perspective. The other thing that I had mentioned is that it's amazing that I have no time. I just have no time. You know, I told you, this is an incredible, wonderful book, and I wanted to talk a little bit about the 7 Years' War. I think I'm going to do that in a separate video. I think this week what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave this one here because this is just an initial thought which I wanted to present, and then I'm going to go and talk about Fred Anderson's wonderful exploration of the significance of the 7 Years' War. So I think I'll leave it there, and I'll be back with more bad news later on.